Hello. Hey, just let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Hey, Jackie. Okay. All right. I'm glad that you can hear me. You can see me. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tara. Hi, Shapri. So good to have you guys here. We're probably just going to give it one more minute to see if more people come trickling in, but I want to make sure I respect your time too, so we won't go past another minute. Hey, it's so good to see you here. Guys, I'm so glad to be back. We'll probably have to talk about this soon, but I'm so glad to be back. So glad to be back to sewing things for myself, for uh kind of being done with school. I'm done, but I just still have a few more things to finish up. The actual dissertation has to be submitted next week, but we're all good. Hi, everyone coming in. Hi, Emma. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Keisha. Welcome, everybody. All right, so I said that I was going to start right after that minute so that we don't waste any time. Um, I know that you guys said that my audio and video was good. Can you see my screen? I shared my screen before we actually started, so I just want to make sure my screen is up before I start talking. Thank you. Okay. All right. Great, great, great. All right, so hi everyone, and welcome to the first of many sessions with the Sojo Reboot series. This particular series is called From Intimidated to Empowered. Okay, so I'm so glad that you're here, whether it's your first time joining one of our events, or if you've been following the Social Cafe for a while, thank you so much for being here. Um, I know that starting or restarting your sewing journey can really feel overwhelming. And even though I have a lot of experience, I also feel that overwhelming feeling of getting to the machine, getting things done. Um, and sometimes it could just be a lot, which could stop me from sewing. And I'm sure that some of you feel the same way. So today we're going to just slow it down. We're going to take the pressure off and we're going to talk honestly about what makes sewing feel hard to start and how to move past that. It's going to be really interactive, so it's not just going to be me talking. I would love for you guys to put comments in the chat, or even if you wanted to come on screen to talk about your experiences, I would love that. This here is not about perfection. It's all about progress and taking the proper steps that you need to in order for you to create the garments that you want to create and sew the things that you want to sew. So we're here to support you every step of the way. And by the end of the session, my goal is for you to feel a little bit more grounded, a little more comfortable and inspired to kind of crank up your machine again. So let's get to it. So webinar one, this is going to be a six-part series. And for today, there's going to be one every week. I'm actually graduating in a few weeks, 3 weeks. So it may not be a live session. It may just be pre-recorded, or maybe I'll do it earlier in the week. And hopefully you guys can still tune in, but it's going to be a I'm sorry, a 6 episode series. Okay. So today we're talking about afraid to start. Let's get to sewing without the overwhelm. So it's a space for beginners, restarters, because I know some people reached out and said, like, I'm not a beginner, I'm intermediate, or I've been sewing for a very long time, but I just want to get back to it. or people who are just curious about sewing and what it's all about and maybe picking it up as a hobby. Like I said, there's no pressure, just support, community, and a fresh start. Hosted by us at the Social Cafe. So let me just start off by telling you a little bit about myself. If you don't know, my name is Cha Cha. I'm a sewing educator, pattern maker. But I remember exactly what it feels like to be in the position where you're just starting out. I started sewing when I was 12, and then I sewed all through high school and I decided to make it a career. So I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in fashion design, my master's in fashion and apparel studies, and then my PhD in apparel merchandising and design. So all my degrees are within the realm of fashion, but my focus is on like inclusive design. So designing for people who are often marginalized within the fashion industry. So that's where my focus lies. So I've taught so many people how to sew and how to make patterns. Some have decided to create their own lines. Some have decided to only sew for themselves. Others sew for friends and family. And some of the students that I've worked with at other universities and colleges, they've decided to go on and work for bigger companies like Converse, Victoria's Secret, Macy's, so they're all on all different paths. So you can be on your own path and you can do the things that feel right to you. You shouldn't feel pressured to sew for other people if you don't want to. If you just want to sew for yourself, that's fine. And don't let anybody make you feel pressured to do this. I'm sure that some people on this call um, can really I guess, relate to that because they've had experiences where they felt like they had to design for other people or make clothes for other people just because others have asked. So I just want to say make sure that you kind of alleviate that pressure by letting people know if you're only sewing for yourself, that you're only sewing for yourself. And if you decide to sew for other people, that's good too. Okay, so whether your machine has been in the box for 5 years or you made a few things but still feel intimidated, this space is for you. Um, I want to invite everybody to share in the chat, drop like just like a wave like this. If you ever said something like, I'm afraid I'll mess up, or I want to sew, but I don't know where to start. And this is all based on like talking to SOIS. You know, I hear this constantly over and over again. Another thing that I hear is I don't have the time to sew. You know, that's not something that I have time for because I have so many other responsibilities. So if you have ever said any of these things, I want you to drop it in the chat. Just drop it's me. I've done it. Drop that in the chat. Yeah, okay, so I see it here. Um, no time. Yep. Okay, so I see some things here about no pressure. Lynn said no pressure. No, nobody can pressure you into sewing things that you don't want to sew. Yep. I see some more people typing. All right. I used to not have time, but looking to get started again because of the kids, and the kids are almost grown now. That's what I'm talking about. Get back to you and the things that made you happy. That's what we're here for. Anyone else? Yeah, I know it can be a lot. It could be a whole lot, especially when you have work and you have school and you have kids and you have other things going on. It takes some figuring out to figure out exactly what you want to do or how you're going to kind of squeeze in your hobbies, especially if you have more than one, not just sewing, maybe knitting or crocheting, or drawing, painting, whatever it is. Fear of design and modifying. Ooh, I would love to dig into that. in one of the sessions, the fear of design. You wish you had time for knitting too. Knitting is something that I haven't really picked up. I took a knitting class, but it wasn't by hand, it was by machine, which was pretty cool. And I had a knitting machine, but it broke. But ever since it broke, I haven't tried it again. Found 30 minutes. Okay. All right, so you found 30 minutes, um, and you see that it helped. It just sewing for 30 minutes, getting started. I mean, sometimes I just tell people like we'll talk more about the Sojo challenge, but I just tell people sit at the machine for 5 minutes. But once you sit down at that machine for 5 minutes, you're going to keep going. It's all a mind game. Oh, Ellen said that they can teach me the basics by hand. Okay. All right. All right. So let's move on. I don't want to keep you guys too late. I am glad that everybody's here. So I feel excited about that. And I don't want to keep you too long because when we talk about sewing, I can probably just go on and on. So let me not. Okay. So, why is it important to sew? The next thing that I want you guys to do is to write in the chat why you feel like it's important to sew. I'll start off by giving you some information from research that I found. Okay. So, number one, it improves self esteem. Number two, it reduces stress levels. And I'm sure that all of you people who've sewn before, especially if you weren't sewing for anybody else and if you didn't have deadlines, that's the key. You know that it's really therapeutic to sew. Sewing is very therapeutic. Okay. For anybody who hasn't experienced it yet, you will love it and you will continue to do it, and it'll be very therapeutic, and you won't want anybody to bother you. Okay. And it's reducing your stress levels. Number three, it improves cognitive function. Okay. It delays mental decline and it will also boost your mood. So these are some things that research found important is some of the benefits of sewing or having a hobby. So I would love to see with what you all are saying here. And if anybody ever feels like they want to just jump on camera or unmute themselves, you can always raise the hand. You should see a hand that's like this and it says raise. You can click on that to raise your hand and I can call on you and you can talk. I want to make this as interactive as possible. Oh, I see some good ones. Relaxation, stress relief, boost problem solving skills, feeling fancy and a custom piece for myself. You always look fancy, Lynn. Every time you wear something that you make, you always look fancy. And that's why everybody always asks, where are you going? The magic of creating and beautifying, especially practical things. Yes. Oh, okay. So, Tara, you said you can't unmute yourself. Let me see if I can do that here. This is my first time using this platform for webinars, so let me see. Let me see what I can do. Okay, I may be able to unmute you. All right, Tara, I think you can unmute yourself. I'm going to give everybody else that option too. Tara, are you able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hi.
Good afternoon. I didn't have anything to say, but I think it was a plot that um No one could unmute themselves. I think that's what was happening.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Well, now it should be available to everybody if anybody wanted to unmute themselves and talk for a second. Maybe even tell us about your sewing journey, how you got started. Is there anybody that wants to share? You can just do the hand raise up here. All right, Ellen. Ellen, are you able to unmute yourself? You should be able to now.
Okay, now I am.
All
So,
right. Hi.
hi, I'm Ellen Bedenko. I'm a registered nurse, but I'm from Ukraine. And when I was 11, it was like 1980, 1981. For 2 years, I used to take a tram across town at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sundays to take sewing classes with older ladies. And I still have my pattern book. And I just love sewing. And I did it on and off for years. And unfortunately, lately, I haven't been able to do that for probably about 10 years or so. But I'm really looking forward. My baby's graduating high school, and I'm really looking forward to sewing again.
Well, good. Oh no, does that mean that you're getting a sewing room back?
I never had a sewing room. I um,
Oh.
I learned how to sew on a Singer machine that was
Uh-huh.
operated by a foot pedal, and I still have one here. My dad got it somewhere. My dad passed away last year, but
Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry.
hoping to, and the machine should be functional, so I'm hoping to kind of play with it a bit too, and then get myself a new machine and start sewing. Two of my daughters are performers, and my dream is to create dresses for them for their performances.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so
So
nice.
thank you so much, Chicha. It's so inspiring.
Oh, no, thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing the dresses that you're making for your daughters. All right, Lynn. Lynn, you have to, I allowed you to unmute, so you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just kept raising my hand. Um, I
Hi,
started.
Lynn.
Hello, Cha Cha. How are you? How's everybody this evening?
All
I
right.
started sewing when I was about 7 or 8, and I started sewing for my Barbie dolls. I
Okay.
guess I was a pattern maker and I didn't realize it, but looking back, that's what I used to do. I'd lay them on the notebook paper on a piece of newspaper and measure them out and cut the fabric. I mean, I got in trouble a couple times by using fabric that wasn't actually sewing. It was like brand new nightgowns and stuff, but my dolls look fabulous. It was worth getting in trouble for. Um, and then as I got older, I started sewing for my daughter, and I would sew her every weekend that she wanted something. I'd make her a vest, a pair of pants, and a bag that went with it. And then I stopped for a while, and then I picked back up for myself and have been sewing since. And I have a grandchild who says that I'm Mimi the maker, and anything he dreams up, I can make. So, I mean, you can't tell me anything. But I hope to get back to just sewing more regularly because I haven't had a sojo in a couple of months, probably about 6 months. So, yeah, that's kind of my thing. And of course, when I met you and came to the cafe and all the wonderful things we did at the cafe, that also helped me. And it's just great to be in an environment with other people that are creative to give you ideas. Like I remember Jackie when I first met her, she helped me with a pair of pants and just meeting so many great people that are just creatives. So that's me.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Mimi the Maker. I love that, actually. Well, I know that you use your Cricut, so you can make some shirts that says Mimi the Maker. I
Yes.
love it.
Actually, tomorrow is opening season for baseball. So we're going to see. They already told me they need shirts. So.
Oh, so you're on shirt duty?
Not quite yet. but it's been given to me, but they're like when I get around to it, um, so I'm sure I will be at some point.
Yep, you will. And
Hmm.
that's fine. It's
Hmm.
no pressure. It's no pressure. All right, great. Thank you, Lynn. All right, so let's move on. Just really quickly, I just want to give you guys, oh, motorcycles going by. That's fine. Just wanted to give you guys just like a quick overview of the Social Cafe if you've never heard of the Social Cafe before. I started the Social Cafe in 2018, October 2018. And it was a creative co-working space for female entrepreneurs looking to start businesses. Originally, that was the model to help people who wanted to turn their craft and their hobby of sewing into a small business. So that's what we really focused on. And then from there, it just turned into just a community space for people to see one another and be able to exchange information. And just like Lynn said, she came in and worked with Jackie and she helped her with a pair of pants. Like it was a community that you wanted to be a part of. Um, so we had workshops, seminars. We also had like pop-up shops for anybody who was making not just garments, but if you were making jewelry or um, if you had like fragrances or candles or anything that was handmade, you can come to the marketplace and you can sell there. Um, so that's what kind of space it was. But unfortunately, in 2020, we closed our doors. Actually, we were in the midst of negotiating opening a second location in Delaware. The original location was in Philadelphia. But we had to close our doors in 2020, and it's been what, 5 years. And now that I'm finished school and um, have time to actually dedicate the necessary time for the social cafe, we're moving on with it. And not to mention, some of these people that are on this call might know that I was also threatened by a former member of the social cafe. And it was like, if you don't open up the social cafe again, bad things are going to happen. So I was threatened. So I'm making sure to stick with my promise and do whatever I can to make sure that the social cafe, even if not a brick and mortar, um, still have an online presence and a community where people can exchange ideas and talk to one another. Another thing is a lot of people don't have somebody at home that they can actually talk to about sewing. You start talking to your spouse about sewing and it's like right over their head. They don't understand. They don't understand. They don't understand why we go to a fabric store and buy so much fabric. They don't understand why we hoard it and don't use it. They can never understand that, right? Um, Only people that are like you can understand that. So that's just a little bit about the social cafe. So, our mission at the Social Cafe is to help people reconnect with their creativity, their confidence, and personal style through sewing. My focus is really on garment construction, so making clothes, and not necessarily soft goods. So, like, I don't know, pillows or even things like curtains, things like that. That's not necessarily my focus. But that doesn't mean that in the community that we have together, you couldn't focus on something like that. But my focus is really on creating garments, for yourself. So we create a supportive, judgment-free space where every stitch is a step toward empowerment and self-expression. So I want you to be able to express yourself through your art and through sewing. Now, our vision built on is to build like a vibrant, welcoming sewing community. And I hope that anybody who's been a part of this um, would attest to this, that it's a community where you feel creative and accessible to you and everyone else. And that's regardless of size, of your background, of your experience. I want everybody to feel welcome here. We imagine a world where self-made style is a tool for self-expression, confidence, and connection. All right, so before we get into the tools or tips, I want to name something that doesn't get talked about enough. Sewing can feel really hard to start. So you might be feeling stuck or intimidated by your machine, unsure of what to make, afraid of messing up. And that's really completely valid. Like all of those things are valid. They're not excuses, they're valid. And you're not the only one. So I want you guys to take 30 seconds for each of these questions. I want you to put the answers in the chat. All right, so I'm going to go through each question. First, let's start with what's something you've told yourself about why you haven't started sewing yet? So I'm going to give you guys some time to answer that question in the chat. What's something you've told yourself about why you haven't started sewing yet? And if you have started sewing and not as much, then you can answer that question in that way. What's something you've told yourself about not sewing as much as you would like to? Lynn, your hand is raised. Do you want to answer this on mic?
I don't know why my hand is raised. I'm not touching it. Sorry.
It's okay. If you want to answer, you can. But if not, that's fine too.
Yeah, what the first question was, what's something you told yourself about why you haven't said? Oh, I don't have the time. I'm not
Time.
organized enough. I need to organize my fabric and my patterns, and then I go to organize it and I become overwhelmed by how much of a collection I actually have. Yes, it's a collection. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I'm sure other people can say the same. All right, Keisha, I see that you said unfinished garments. So is it because of the unfinished garments that you feel like you can't move on to something else or you can't complete it because it's too many unfinished garments?
Yes, I get intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's too like I have too many projects that I want to do and I just need to narrow down to one. So,
You sound like me. Yeah, I get
yeah.
it. I get it. I'll be like, oh, I could do this one or that one or that one or that one. And then it's like, you know what? It's too much to think about. I'm not going to do any of them.
Exactly.
Hmm. uh, I want to make sure I have all the supplies and the equipment I need. Oh, okay. So Shapri said that she's trying to buy a serger. So we're going to get into that in a second. But yeah. Yeah, serger. So what makes you want to buy a serger? Why now?
Uh, I've always wanted one. So when I first started sewing, is because of you, Cha Cha. And ever since being in your class and doing the sewing machine, but messing with that surgery, I'm like, oh, I want one. And I never got one ever since then. And I haven't sewn ever since your class. So I'm
Oh,
still fighting. So it's still a big thing for me.
oh,
I
you
want
got
my
to come back.
yes.
I think everybody, when they start, like, okay, so some people have never seen a serger before, right? And then once they get to a place or a class where there is a serger and they're able to use it, it's like, yep, I want
Yep.
that.
Yes.
It's
I
like,
just want to say the reason I use a serger is because of Cha Cha as well. I said, wait, so it sews and finishes all in one? I have been hooked
Girl.
ever since, so I fully understand.
Yes. Yes. And I've been plotting ever since. So it's
you
been
know what?
years.
It's so funny how y'all give me credit for the good stuff, but then I also get blamed for, oh, that's why I buy so much fabric because of Cha Cha. And that's why I'm getting all of this stuff. It's because of Cha Cha. That's why I ain't got no money because of Cha Cha. What's up with that? I mean, I guess it's good that I get the good along with the bad. So, I'll take it. It's okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Oh, absolutely my fault. Yes. Lynn says that is my fault. I'll take it. It's fine. It's my fault. I'm glad that I got y'all sewing though. That makes me happy. All right. So, next question. What would it mean to you to wear something that you made with your hands for your body? What would that mean to you? How would that make you feel? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds for this one too. Oh, Jackie says powerful. Yeah, I agree with that one. Confident, special. Yeah, confident, empowered. I can tell you it's nothing like it. Especially if you're people know that you sew and you're wearing something like, "Oh, you made that?" It's like, "Yes, yes, I did." Unless you're out and people know that you sew and they ask if you made it and you didn't, then you're like, I didn't, but I could have, right? That's the reply. I didn't, but I could
That part.
have. Oh, all right. Yes, I'm loving all of these answers. Okay, so the last question is, what part of sewing are you avoiding because you're afraid it won't be perfect? This is for those perfectionists out there. What part of sewing are you avoiding because you're afraid it won't be perfect? Hmm. Oh, Doreen, you have your hand up? Hold on one second because I should be able to allow you to unmute yourself. Give me one second. All right, so you should be able to unmute yourself, Doreen. Doreen, did you want to say something? Oh, I'm looking at the chat now. See, Shapri, you can't blame me. Now Lynn is giving you all the information about what surgery to buy. See, I can't. Oh, okay. Mm, not my fault. This is on record. That is not my fault. Oh, adjustments. So, Lynn, are you talking about adjustments to like patterns or just adjustments to garments that you've made? Oh, zippers. Yeah, zippers
I
can
would
be a
say to
doozy.
both,
To both.
because sometimes I've made a pair of pants and it'll be short, like the waist doesn't come up enough. Like I can't figure out how to not have the back down so low that I don't look like a plumber in the back, and then the front be all the way up underneath my bra line. So yeah, I got to figure out that seat adjustment piece.
Yeah. So I've actually had interviews recently with some industry professionals for my PhD work, and they were saying that some people have started wearing their pants backwards if it's not noticeable, just because they're having that same problem where it's too high in the front, too low in the back. So they've been reversing their pants. So if it's a pair of pants where there's no like pockets on the back, they've just been turning them around. Same thing with underwear is from what I hear. They've said that. So that's interesting. All right. Adjustments to patterns. Yeah. Adjusting patterns can be difficult if you haven't done anything like that before. Yeah. But we're going to get you through. No worries. All right, so can any of you guys relate to these? Okay, because these are some things that I've heard. I have a sewing machine, but I'm struggling to get started. So I've worked with people who have had sewing machines for over 20 years that they may have used once, and then it didn't work out, so they just put it away and never took it back out. Another thing, I'm afraid of messing up and is making me feel overwhelmed. A lot of people are afraid, and I don't know if it's, because of the fabric. It's like, I don't want to waste fabric. I don't want to mess up my fabric. I have good plans for this fabric, and I don't want to make it so that I can't wear this fabric. So, that's also something that I hear a lot. Sewing looks so hard. I have no idea where to start. And that's also valid because it's a lot of things that you need to learn in order to do so. So that's something that, I hear a lot of. I hear these things a lot. And if you can relate, just put your hand like this in the chat. Yes, I can relate. We can all relate. Yes. So really, like, these struggles are real. These are not things that are made up in your head. There's a lot of people that feel the same exact way. And it's a sign that you care and you want to get it right. And that's okay. But we can't let those things stop us. So the truth is, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up. And that's what this series is about, just to support you in showing up. So I don't know if everybody is aware, but this past week we had the 5 day Sojo reboot. Okay. And for 5 days, we worked on one thing at a time, and it was very slow. There was a commitment to doing what was assigned for that day, but it wasn't like a huge project. So day one, we cleaned our spaces. So there's a video that I put up, and other people have posted pictures, other people have posted videos of them cleaning up their spaces for accountability, because that's what we're here for. So we cleaned up our spaces on day one. On day two, we've reconnected with inspiration. So I really like Pinterest, especially for looking at things that I would want to make for myself. So I reconnected with some of my Pinterest boards of things that I said I wanted to make, or patterns I said I wanted to make that I haven't gotten to. It's like hundreds of them. But still, just looking at those things made me feel reconnected to what kind of sparked something inside of me to make me want to make something. Day three, we picked a simple win. So we did something very simple, something that wouldn't take a lot of time, that we knew that we could do in order to get it done, post it for accountability and say, hey, like, I got it done. In day four was just about sewing for 10 minutes. So like I said at the beginning of the call, I tell people to just sew for 5 minutes, sit at the machine, sew for 5 minutes. And after that, if you feel like you want to get up, then get up. But you know that you sewed for that day. But we all know, all of us who have experience with sewing, that once you sit down at that machine, you get some music on, or you get a show going, or a movie, you can just sit there and just keep working, you know? And that's really what it's all about. So day five was about celebrating and sharing. So celebrating your wins, telling the group like what you did, what you're happy about, what you accomplished, and also sharing pictures if you wanted to share pictures or videos or whatever you wanted to do. And that's how we got started. And it really helped me a lot too, because I haven't really been sewing things for myself being in school and teaching. I haven't really had that chance to express myself in that way. Even though every day I'm doing something with fashion or even sewing, but it's not things that I necessarily want to sew for myself. So it helped me out a lot. Now, I've seen people get to this stage and we don't want to be here, okay? I've seen people literally want to take the sewing machine and throw it out the window because they've gotten so frustrated. And I know that I just said that sewing can be therapeutic, but also when things are not going right, it can feel a little overwhelming. So I want you to keep this image in mind and know that we don't want to go here. When you feel yourself getting there, I want you to take a deep breath, and then I want you to walk away from the machine. Okay, it's not
Cha
worth
Cha,
it.
how did you get actual footage of me? How did you get actual footage of me, Cha Cha? I don't understand.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen the frustration.
I've been it. I have wanted to pick it up and throw it out the window, but the window was closed. So yeah, that bobbin, the bobbin gets caught when you think you're really doing something and you look at the underside and it's a jumble of thread. Oh, oh, yeah.
Okay, a jumble of thread, but what about when the bobbin is empty and you've been
Oh, when you
sewing?
play bobbin chicken? Oh, when you lose? Yeah, bobbin chicken is a fun game. Yeah, yeah, that's lovely. And you say, oh, I got this whole pants leg sewn. And all you got is like the first inch and a half. Yeah. Yeah, that's lovely. They still haven't invented a sewing machine that catches that though. All these fancy sewing machines,
I
they
plan on it.
still haven't invented one.
I plan on it.
All right.
My machine actually does tell me, and it won't continue to sew. It says change your bobbin.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Nice.
somebody's fancy.
Yeah, it's
You have to
I
put
love.
your model number with the group. Share a picture of your sewing machine then. Or your
Right?
model number.
I had it is what it is my fancier one, but it will give me a little notice.
Well, it's funny that
Okay.
you said fancier one because that implies that
Don't
there are
don't do that, Cha
multiple.
Cha. Don't do that.
Wait, is that Tara speaking, Cha Cha?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand now. Yeah, fancier one. Okay, I understand now. Gotcha. We know about you, Tara. We know about you.
Yeah,
All
fancier
right.
one.
Y'all doing too much. Too much. Too much.
Yeah, okay, so let me back up a little bit. So for those who haven't done any sewing, right? So there is a thread that goes at the top of your machine, and then there's thread that goes at the bottom, which is on a spool called a bobbin, right? So sometimes, well, with most machines, except for Tara's machine, because she has the fancy machine, it doesn't tell you when the bobbin is empty. So you can continue to sew, but then once you move your garment from underneath the presser foot or underneath the machine, you haven't sewn anything because it was empty. So that's it's stressful, you know. So you want to make sure that you keep checking. Um, and also for those who don't know or don't have a machine yet, not just buying fabric can become an addiction, but also buying sewing machines, especially like if they're on sale. Or, if people give them to you, you'll collect machines. That's a thing too. So just watch out for that. Make sure you make some room in your closet because you're going to need it. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. So I know that sewing can feel overwhelming, like we've been talking about. So, why does it feel so overwhelming? It's not just one skill, actually, that you're learning. And if it was, then okay. If it were, it wouldn't be a big deal. But it's like a whole bundle of skills that you need to learn in order to sew. And I don't want that to intimidate anybody. It's just that you need to be aware that it's a lot of things that you need to know. So you're learning how to read patterns. Um, you're learning how to thread your machine. You're learning how to choose fabric. You're figuring out fit, what tools you need. You're trying to make something that's wearable. It's just a lot, it's a lot to think about. So I want everybody to just take it one step at a time. So if you've been sewing for a while, it's still easy to feel overwhelmed because as you progress, new challenges come up, right? So there's new techniques and there's new fabrics that you're working with, new fitting issues because you're using different fabrics. You're constantly learning and remembering and building on what you know. And for those who have stepped away from sewing for a while, when you come back, sometimes you have to relearn things, which also can be a bit difficult. So let's be honest, pattern instructions can feel like a foreign language to a lot of people. Okay. Because there's so much information when you buy a pattern so that you can make a garment, it's like it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Like stay stitch the facing and understitch to the seam allowance. That all sounds like weird to people who don't know how to sew. Like it's like what does that even mean? It's like it's a puzzle. more than like a plan of action. So understand it can be frustrating, but it's okay because we're all here for you. Okay. And then there's like pressure if you don't want to waste fabric, or if you're like, well, what if I mess up? Or um, I'm not feeling good about this. What if it turns out looking handmade, you know, in a bad way, where you're feeling like I don't want people to think that I made this because it looks handmade. Like all of those fears, they're valid and it's okay. All right. So most of my students, they get really excited when they start sewing, right? Like really excited. And first they start with like, okay, what supplies do I need to get started? They'll ask me that question. And then from there, they might see some things that I have or that other people have on YouTube or whatever, and it's like, oh, I need to get that too, and I need to get this too, and this too, and this. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit, right? You don't need to get everything all at once. It's okay. It's not necessary. You don't need to get everything. Okay. So I put together this. I can have this downloadable too if anybody wants it, but it's the Start Sewing Toolkit. Okay. Basically, I'm going to outline everything that you would need, some things that would be nice to have, but you might not actually need getting started. And we'll go through that. All right, so a sewing machine. Yes, if you are going to sew, you're going to need a sewing machine. Yes, you can sew by hand, but who wants to do that? I don't know anybody who necessarily enjoys sewing by hand. And when I mean sewing by hand, I don't mean like sewing on a button. I'm talking about like actually sewing a garment by hand. I don't know anybody who would enjoy that. So let's not do that. We're going to sew with a machine. So your sewing machine could be a manual machine, a digital machine, an industrial machine, whatever you choose is really up to you. But you don't have to buy a brand new machine. You can buy secondhand. You can go on Facebook Marketplace. You can go on eBay. You can go to a thrift store. You can borrow one from a friend who you know has one in their closet that they haven't used in 10 years. Like, be resourceful. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a machine. Um, One thing that I don't recommend people buying those small, like handheld sewing machines. I've seen people use those before. I had one when I was younger for some reason. I think somebody thought it would be a good gift. I don't know. But no, let's not do that. They're really flimsy and they cause more frustration than we actually need. And we're trying to minimize the overwhelm. Okay. So none of those handheld sewing machines. We're not doing that. Some needle and thread. So you will need needle and thread. You'll need thread for your sewing machine. Excuse me, but you'll also need a hand needle. So you'll need that for various reasons. And I won't go into all of that right now, but yes, you'll need it. The hand needles you can get from the dollar store. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on that. I do know that they sell threads for your sewing machine and for a serger at the dollar store, but sometimes those threads kind of pop easily. So I would just say be careful with that. Some of these things on the list, you may already have like an iron or even a measuring tape, some scissors. You may have those things at home. Um, with the scissors, you want to make sure that you have some for fabric and you also have some for cutting paper. The people who have been sewing in this webinar, you know, they know that you have to have those two different scissors. I'm sure that there are stories that people can tell you about why you need to have those two different scissors. You have your fabric scissors again and your paper scissors. Is there anybody who has had I guess something happen where they want to talk about their scissors? And I'm sure that it's, at least a few people on this call who can talk about that. Lynn, I don't know if your hand is still up from before.
I don't know why my hand is showing that. It's not supposed to be, but I'll be happy to talk. I just typed how I almost got a divorce because he used my good Guterman scissors that I had saved and got a good coupon for at Joanne. And he thought since he saw them, it was a good idea for him to use them to open something in the kitchen. I almost caught a charge. I almost caught a charge. Yeah, yeah. So then I had to take my scissors and put them far, far, far away in my sewing room. But yeah, I don't. No, 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 no. Those are for fabric. Those are for fabric. I don't know why you think they would be kitchen scissors, but they look like the dollar one. They look nothing like dollar scissors. They look nothing. Guterman look nothing like dollar scissors.
They don't
Yeah,
look like
so,
dollar
yeah,
scissors.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we almost went to
Shapri,
divorce court.
it's okay. It's all right. It's did he buy some new ones? Is that what happened? That's how it smoothed
No, no,
over?
no, 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 no. After that one time, he then has learned to only use the scissors that are in the kitchen for kitchen items. Don't go looking for scissors in my room. Those are off limits to you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are. So
Okay,
the
Shapri
Gutermann scissors,
said,
somebody said, what's the big deal with Gutermann? For me, that was the one treat to myself, right? Because I knew about Fisker's scissors, and that was my first pair with the orange handle. I wanted to get a good pair of scissors, but to me, Gutermann was a treat because I had seen them. They looked nice and heavy in their weight. Joanne's finally had them for like a 50% off, and it was when I first started sewing, and that just felt like a luxury to me to get the Gutermann scissors. That's why they were such a big deal for me. I'd stepped up from Fiskars to Gutermann. What? You couldn't tell me I was not a full-on designer. I mean, they cut like butter. They were quiet. They had that, you got good scissors and they cut that sharp. Yeah. Yes, the red bottoms of scissors. That's what they were for me
the
anyway.
red bottoms.
I like that. For me, that's what they were.
The red bottoms of scissors. That's so funny. Okay, oh, Shapri said that her daughter took her fabric scissors. See, yeah, those who know know. Those who know know. No, you can't use the fabric scissors except for fabric. Don't use them for anything else. Okay, so we have your sewing machine needles. I'm going to quickly go over this. So you have small needles, which are like your eights and your tens. You have medium needles. And when I say small and medium, let's say small needles for thinner fabrics. And then as you get bigger, then it's for thicker fabrics. So medium sized needles, that's like a 12 or a 14. You'll use that for medium fabrics like cotton, linen, satin. Larger needles like a 16, 18, you'll use for denim, twills, canvas. As far as fabric, there's a lot of ways that you can get cheaper fabric. If anybody's interested, you can always go to a fabric swap. In the city that I'm in now, they've had a few fabric swaps since I've been here. And their fabric swap is not necessarily like, okay, I bring something and then because I brought something, I can take something. It's more like a lot of people donated fabric, you just pick out what you want. And other cities have them as well. So you guys might want to check that out. You might want to visit like a jobber, and a jobber sells like discounted fabric from fabric mills. So that's what Jomar is in Philly, if anybody has ever been. That's a jobber, and you could get some good fabric discounted. The thing is, you have to like search through it. So that can be a thing. Measuring tape, straight pins, seam ripper. Seam ripper, you can have a love-hate relationship with a seam ripper, but it will help you undo any mistakes that you've done. But it can be time consuming, but it's just part of the process. Like you have to do it. Like I said, iron, you might already have one in the house, and then marking tools. So it's not a whole lot that you need to get started. Okay. All right. So I get this question all the time, but I really think it's a personal preference. People ask me like, well, what's the best fabric for a beginner? Right? It's really based on your personal preference. You would have to try sewing with it first to know if you like sewing with that fabric. Um, but I would say that I recommend staying away from fabrics that fray a lot. So like loosely woven cottons or loosely woven fabrics, fabrics that snag easily. You want to stay away from those. So even some satins can snag easily, especially those that have like a glossy finish to it. Velvet, sequin, because sequin is a lot of times on like a mesh, which can easily be snagged. Embellished fabrics, again, a lot of them are on like a mesh backing. So it'll be easy to snag those, and that becomes frustrating as you're sewing. Fabrics that are silky, so like a silk, rayon, charmeuse, you may, as a beginner, want to stay away from these initially, but then you can work your way up to it. Very lightweight fabrics like chiffon or organza, I would say take some time to actually work with the fabric, and you don't have to buy yardage of the fabric. You can really, depending on where you get fabric from, you can buy as little as, I don't know, a quarter of a yard and play around with that. Like use your sewing machine and do some stitches with it, see how it interacts with your sewing machine, see if it's frustrating for you, if it gets stuck in your machine. Those kind of things will let you know like whether you should be working with that or maybe you should save that for when you've developed more skill, right? Um, okay, so this is this slide up? For me, I can't see images, so hopefully it's up. Okay. So first of all, you want to select a very basic sewing pattern to start. That's the next thing that you want to do. And you can either buy from indie brands like my signature maxi dress pattern, which is a very simple, easy, it's only three patterns in the pack when you get it, and that's all you need. Um, but when you're buying from other brands, so more well-known brands, then you want to look for something that says easy or learn to sew on the package or very easy. Um, I do have a story about this. So a few years ago, I had a sewing retreat and we went to the Poconos and we were sewing a very easy pattern from a well-known brand, and it was not very easy. It actually had us sewing all night for, I think it was like 2 nights. We were exhausted. We all did end up getting it done, but because it said very easy, we were expecting it to be very easy. I have over 20 years of experience, and it was not a very easy pattern. So I would say to also look at reviews and see what people are saying about the pattern. If it was easy for them to create, if it fit well, you want to make sure that you're looking at those types of things too. So if anybody's interested in the latest issue of Threads magazine, the spring issue from this year, I did a article called "A Quick Win for Plus Size Sewists," and it's really about how to get into sewing, what patterns to choose, some tips and tricks so that you can make it like a seamless process. And you don't have to be plus size to benefit from this. I just want to make everybody aware. So if you're interested, they're on newsstands everywhere. They're in Barnes and Nobles. They're at Joann's before they close. And they also have a PDF on their website. If you want to just download the article there, you can do that as well. All right, so the next step, going into your space. So it doesn't have to be a large designated space for your sewing, right? It doesn't even have to be like a room. It can be a corner of a room. It can be a closet. It can be your dining room table. It can be your living room table. I've even seen people have their sewing space on the floor. And you know what? It all works. So don't feel like you have to necessarily have like a huge space because you don't. You don't. You just need enough space for your sewing machine, for your fabric, for your supplies, and you'll be good. So it also, like this picture, it doesn't have to be something this pristine. And actually, I wouldn't recommend that it is because I've heard other people say, well, my space looks too nice. I don't want to mess it up. You know, we don't want to do that. We want to, all of the obstacles, we need them to be out of our way. We just need the space to be tidy, right? We just need it to be tidy so we can get started. A lot of us creatives, even though while we're working, we could be messy, we like to start off clean slate, nice, tidy space. So make sure that your space is Not necessarily cleaned up, but it can be tidy, a tidy space. All right. Okay, so we've talked about why sewing can feel overwhelming, and let's shift into what you can do about it. So I created this three-step framework, right, to help start sewing without the pressure or the confusion. And it's not necessarily like a checklist of everything you need to know. It's about where to focus so that you don't get stuck or give up, right? So it's three steps: no stress, start sewing framework, right? So, first, what we're going to do is we're going to simplify the project. So, choose something that's small, that's doable, and that's success focused, right? You're going to succeed. That's the project that we're going for, the one that we know you're going to succeed at, right? So, you don't need to impress anybody. This is about getting your confidence level up, okay? Now, step two is going to be to set the seed. So that means prepping your space, like we just talked about. It also means like gathering your tools, making sure that you have everything that you need together. Um, and you have everything together so that you don't feel like you have to, oh, I can't do this because I have to go to the store and get this that's not together. Oh, I'll just do it another day because I don't have this together. We're going to make sure that we set the scene to make sure that you have everything together. Maybe even put on a little music. I know that I like to sew to music, but some people also like to sew to podcasts, or they like to sew listening to a movie or listening to a TV show. Whatever sets the mood for you and gets your creative juices flowing, do that. Okay, that's us setting the scene. Number three is going to be start with one step, right? Don't try to sew a whole garment. That's not what we're doing, right? Just thread the machine. Okay, that's an accomplishment right there, right? Because some people who haven't touched their machine in years, that's a step for them because they haven't done that. So you threading the machine could give you that extra boost you need to, I don't know, maybe sew a sample. And when I say sew a sample, just sewing two pieces of fabric together. That's something to get you started, get you back in the groove of doing it, right? Cut out some fabric. Some people like to do everything in one day. So they might like cut out their fabric and then they sew all in one day. But it's okay to take your time and just cut one day. Okay, that's progress. The next day, you're pinning things together. That's progress. The next day, you're sewing. That's progress. So you want to make sure you're just taking your time. Tiny progress is still progress. So this framework, it helps you to get started without feeling overwhelmed. And honestly, it works even when you're not new. So you don't have to be new to sewing for this to work for you. Sometimes you just need to get a fresh, simple approach to get back in the groove. And that's what we're talking about. All right, so now it's time for Q&A. We're at 7:04. I won't keep you guys too long. But I've pulled a few questions from the community this week, and I'm also going to give you guys a chance to ask questions if you have questions. But one question I was asked was, what should I sew first? And that's really general. I don't know what the person's interest is, but they asked what should they sew first. So I'm going to say to keep it very simple. So if you can find a pattern that has, let's say, 5 pieces or less, okay? So that would be something like a tent dress or like a woven top that um doesn't have any like darts or anything like that, like something very, very simple. I would say start with that first. Okay. The next question is, what's one tool you actually need to get started? So in my previous slide, already talked about what you would need to get started. So I'm not going to really talk about that. And I don't think it's just one tool that you need to get started. But the first thing I would say is to get yourself a sewing machine. The next question is, do you know if it's me? No, how do I know if it's me or the pattern? So I'm guessing that this person has had some experience with working with patterns and not knowing if it didn't come out right, not knowing if they did something wrong or if it was the pattern. So, what I would say to this is we're all different sizes, different shapes, right? So, there could be five people who wear a size 20, and they're all different shapes. And a garment that's made for a size 20 could fit all of them differently. Some good, some not so good, depending on preference, right? So, if you followed everything in that pattern to a T and you cut it out the way that you were supposed to and you sewed it together the way you were supposed to, if you try it on and it doesn't fit, it's not you, okay? It's the pattern. So a lot of patterns, they are not necessarily made to fit all body shapes because it's very hard to fit all body shapes unless you're using a knit fabric or a woven fabric that has some elastane in it. It's hard for it to fit well on all bodies. So it's not you, it's the pattern. Okay. Next question is, do I need a dress form or a serger? So my answer is, even though we've had this talk earlier in this webinar, is you don't need both of those, and you hear that emphasis need. A dress form is nice to have, but a serger, I would say, is one of those things like if you can invest in one, then get one. That's what I would say. The dress form is nice, you know, but the serger, it's a good investment if you're able to make that investment. And that's something that you could also find secondhand as well. The next question is, I'm a seasoned seamstress, but lately I purchased a lot of fabric and now I feel overwhelmed. How do I get organized and get started again? So actually for this question, I'm going to have you guys put this in the chat because there's a lot of seasoned sewists in here. So if you can put how you organize your fabric, this person said that they purchased a lot of fabric. And I know people on this call who have purchased a lot of fabric. Not calling anybody out, I'm just saying. So if you could in the chat tell us how you organize your fabric, and then I guess I'll chime in on what I do for my fabric. Lynn, I see your comment. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I just know people on this call who have a lot of fabric. That's all I'm saying. All right. Anybody want to talk about how they store their fabric?
I just have a shelf and I put my fabric in it. So
You fold it up and put it on the shelf?
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Do you find that to be, I guess, helpful and easy for you to get to the fabric that you need?
At the moment, yes. But I know I
Okay.
need to do more, yeah.
Okay. All right. So Lynn said that she would separate the wovens and the knits. I would do that as well. And then by weight and season. Oh, that's fancy. That's some good organizing there. Who else? All right. So while we're waiting for somebody else to comment, because it looks like somebody else is commenting. So I usually get like the tubes or the cardboard from fabric stores. Since Joann's is closing, they might be giving theirs away. I usually get them from Jomar in Philly, where I can just like rewrap the fabric onto a tube or onto a cardboard. It's not a box, it's like a bowl. Right. So that it's nice and tidy and organized and I can just put it on the shelf. The next question is how to accurately choose the correct size when selecting a pattern. Okay. So on every pattern that you purchase, so whether it's a physical pattern or a pattern that you're downloading and printing out, it will have instructions on there about how to select your accurate size. You want to make sure you know your measurements, which is really important. A lot of people don't know their measurements. And the most important ones when you look at a sewing pattern are your bust, your waist, and your hip. You want to make sure that you have those measurements. And if you tend to fluctuate a lot, you want to make sure that you continuously measure those areas, those circumferences, the bust, hip, and the waist. All right. And then from there, there should be a chart. All pattern companies have a chart where it says, okay, if your bust is this and your waist is this and your hips are is this, then you would wear this size. A lot of people come into the situation where they're like, okay, well, my bust says I should be in this size, but my waist says I should be at this size. Um, and they're trying to figure out the in between, right? So some people will just jump to making the bigger size so that they can take it in because it's easier to take something in than to take it out if you don't have enough seam allowance, right? Um, so some people approach it in that way, while other people try to find like an in between and then they try to grade in between the pattern. So some patterns it'll show you a smaller size and then it'll go up maybe like 5 or 6 sizes, right? So if you're in between, you can pretty much like draw curves that connect. So if your bust is this, you want to draw a curve to the waist if it's outside of that size, right? So let's say, I don't know, a 16 and an 18, right? If your bust is fitting at the 16, then and then your waist is at the 18, then maybe you would go, okay, this is where the bust is on the 16, and this is where the waist is on the 18. So I'm going to draw a curve that connects these two together in order to kind of grade in between sizes. And this all comes with practice and experience, right? Okay, so that answers that question. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me? Let's see. Okay, so Shapri said, going back to the equipment question, do you know of any good secondhand shops in Philly or online? And is that to get the serger? If it's for the serger, I would definitely say the first place to stop is Facebook Marketplace. People are constantly getting rid of things on Facebook Marketplace. I will also look up estate sales in the area. I've been to estate sales here, and there is always sewing machines. But that's not to say that, when you go, there will always be a sewing machine. But from my experience, there's always been sewing machines. Not necessarily sergers, but you might like look up. Um, where else can you find some? I would also say go to the Goodwill. Um, or even go on Facebook and put a post on your wall like, hey, I'm looking for a serger or overlock machine, or even in my sewing group. And there may be people, because some people have multiple, there may be some people that's willing to part ways with theirs and willing to sell them for a fair price. So I would look into that. Lynn also said that the Goodwill online has some nice sewing items, but it's a hit or a miss. All right. It looks like we have somebody else. Um, who's still doing sewing machine repair in the Philly area? Okay, in Philly, I'm not sure because I haven't lived in Philly in about uh 4 years, so I'm not exactly sure. But I do know that in Delaware, Hayes does repair. And Lynn put that Hayes does repair as well. So Delaware is not that far from Philly if you can make it up there. But you may be able to get somebody to look at your machine there. And I heard that they do really good work. So, yeah. All right. Any more questions? Oh, yeah, you can Google sew and vac places. There was actually, I don't know if it's still there, but it was a sew and vac place in Philly on what was it? Rising Sun Avenue that I used to go to. And they actually came out to fix my industrial machine when something was going wrong with it. So they may still be there. I would just check it out. All right, so what we covered today, we're wrapping up, okay? Why to sew. We also talked about thoughts that's keeping us stuck from not actually taking action and getting the projects done that we want to get done. Why we're feeling overwhelmed. We went over the Start Sewing Toolkit. We also went over the 3-step no stress start sewing framework. And I want to quickly go over that, go back to that. Let's see. How, bam, there we go. So I wanted to go back to this because this is going to be your homework. I'm a professor, so I have to give homework. So I want you guys to go over this. You can screenshot this if you need to. I'll also be posting it in the Facebook group. But this is the homework. This is what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on looking at a simple project and selecting one, setting the scene, and then starting one step at a time. Okay. And I want to hear from you when we return for the next webinar and let us know how you did, how far you came, what you're proud of, so that we can celebrate you. Okay. All right. So I hope that you're feeling a little more ready after today. And if you want help taking the next step, whether it's choosing your first garment or understanding how to get a better fit or just sewing more consistently, I love to be there to help you and support you. So next week's webinar is called How to Actually Start Sewing Clothes When You Don't Know Where to Begin. Okay, so that's the next webinar, and it will be next week. A different link will be sent out. It's not the same link that you use for tonight. A different link will be posted on the Facebook group, and it'll also be sent out to the mailing list. Um, I will send out, I'm actually going to put it in the chat so that anybody who's not a part of the Facebook group will have the link so I can add you to the Facebook group so you can stay updated here and connect with the lovely people here. So, what I just put in the chat is the Facebook group. And this is our website, thesocialcafe.com. At the bottom of the home page here, you can sign up for the mailing list so you won't miss anything. All right. And one thing that I haven't shared with anybody that I'm really excited about, and I'm announcing it here so you guys are the first to know, is that I'm doing a sewing tour. So I'm going, excuse me, I'm going from city to city teaching fun sewing workshops this summer. And I hope you'll join me because it'll be a lot of fun. I'll drop the link for the wait list here in the chat if anybody is interested. So it's just like a quick survey form, so that I can know where everybody is that's interested. And this is something that I'm just so excited about. I'm so excited about this. You have no idea. I was talking with my mom about it today, and we were just kind of geeking out over it. So, yeah, yes, if you are interested, sign up for the wait list so that I can see what people are interested in what cities, and I'll make sure that I share information once it becomes available. Also, all of my information here is here if you want to screenshot this, where you have all of my socials. So, the Social Cafe on Instagram and on Facebook, Cha Cha Nicole on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to connect there, you can also reach out through email, info@thesocialcafe.com. Make sure you put the social cafe and also make sure that you remember it's SEW and not SO. So thesocialcafe.com. All right. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. If anybody needs anything, you can always reach out to me. Like I said, I posted everything inside the chat. So whether you want to be a part of the Facebook group, the mailing list, or if you want to be added to the wait list for the sewing tour, all of that is there in the chat. I'll also share it in the group. So make sure you join our Facebook group, Sewing with Cha Cha Nicole. And thank you all so much for coming. See you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so nice meeting you all here, those that I don't know. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for coming.